Biosens. FDA-approved rigid elastic nylon-based thermoplastic. Suitable for full and partial dentures with elastic rigid clasps and rigid vertical stops. Implant-retained overdentures, transparent frameworks, night guards, flippers with perfect elasticity, avoiding the use of metal reinforcements. 100% repairable and reliable with conventional acrylics. General instructions. Impressions. 1. We recommend taking the impression with individual trays. 2. Alginate impression materials are recommended for partial dentures, which minimize compression of alveolar mucosa. Silicone-based impression materials are recommended for full dentures and crown restorations. 3. Pour Type 3 or Type 4 plaster to create the master model. 4. Produce the wax bite blocks in a wire-reinforced base plate. Setup. Use acrylic artificial teeth. Avoid the use of composite artificial teeth, which can break during the injection process. 2. Grind the acrylic teeth only as much as necessary, leaving enough room for the thermoplastic denture-based material to attach the acrylic tooth. Leave as much space in the tooth as possible to create retention holes. Pay special attention to the necks of the acrylic tooth during setup. Setup should not be too protrusive and has to be placed in harmony with the clasped tooth, keeping in mind the aesthetics of the end product. After setup and waxing, the denture is ready for try-in. Try-in. Try-in may be made on the reinforced wax base. The try-in will not be retentive, but should provide accurate checking of correct bite and shade of the acrylic teeth. After try-in, make putty matrix blocks for later confirmation of tooth position. And then clean the wax off the master model and the acrylic teeth. Designing and preparing the model for duplication. All undercuts affecting the path of insertion should be blocked out, but less than conventional blockout for metal frameworks. Undercuts in the buccal and distal, which are engaged for retention, should not be relieved, except where more rigid junction points would cause irritation for the patient. With a red pencil used as a surveyor, mark all around the outlines of the denture, design the clasps, and block out with wax if there are extreme undercut or retentive areas. Lingual undercut formation around clasped tooth, inner surface roughness. Palatal or lingual surface roughness of any of the teeth or gingival area and the necklines of the tissue should be relieved with wax. In free and upper or lower cases, do not remove the distal undercut of the last natural tooth, but if necessary, some blocking can be made on the distal undercuts before the free saddle. Enough undercut should be left to allow the case to snap on into position. In free end saddle cases with anterior teeth replacement, undercuts in the front section should be blocked with wax. After the model has been designed and prepared, an accurate stone duplicate model must be made. Duplicating the master model. Place the master model in water to soak for 10 minutes. Melt Perflex Geliflex all-purpose concentrated gelatin for duplication, or other gelatin suitable for gypsum stone. See video with instructions for how to use Geliflex. Melt the gelatin in a microwave for 10 minutes on high and cool it down by stirring with a spatula under a fan for faster cooling. When the gel has cooled to 52 to 57 degrees Celsius or 125 to 135 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pouring temperature, pour the gel and allow it to cool in the duplicating flask for 20 minutes before placing it in a water bath for an additional 20 minutes for final setting. After the gel has cooled and set completely, remove the master model carefully, making sure the blockout wax remains on the master model. Material retained in the gel may affect the duplicate. Pour in a well-mixed Type 3 stone and allow it to set completely. Remove the duplicate stone model. Trim and compare carefully with the master model for distortions and discrepancies. If the duplicate is perfect, dry the model and retrace the design line again with a red watercolor pencil. Place the putty blocks in position on the duplicate model and make sure there's a small gap between the gum and the basal surface of the teeth to ensure retention. If necessary, grind from the acrylic tooth to adjust. Place the acrylic teeth on the putty matrix and stick to the model with hot wax. Biosense Waxing Partial Denture. Biosense rigid but elastic nylon-type thermoplastic dentures can be designed with occlusal rests and a conventional clasp design for maximum comfort. Clasp thickness can be 2.3 to 2.5 millimeters to 3 millimeters, and the final thickness of the denture after polishing should be not less than 2 millimeters. Use prefabricated forms as palatal wax to help ensure uniform thickness. Keep anatomy natural. Make occlusal stops or rests. Types of clasps for Biosense: 1. Spur clasp. 2. Conventional clasp. Place a 1 millimeter thin sprue wax to reinforce the palate area, using it as a guide to the correct thickness. Cover the neck part and the lingual part of the artificial acrylic tooth using a prefabricated wax palette. Adjust and smooth all the wax with a pencil torch. Place the waxed model in water to saturate. Investing the bottom half of the flask. Spread lube oil onto the flask. Take the waxed model out of the water and invest the half flask with Type 3 plaster. When hardened, grind the retentive areas of the plaster stone. Sprueing. Placing sprues and vents. Use round red or rope wax 5 millimeters diameter. Make 3 single sprues, 1 in the middle and 2 on either side, right and left, and fill the gap between the round sprue and the stone with wax. Create some wax ventilation sprues to allow the air bubbles to escape. The sprue wax should be connected to the wax-up. Place 1 coat of isolating separator liquid Isosep film on the stone surface and place the flask in a water bath for 15 minutes. Investing the top half of the flask. Close the upper part of the flask with 2 screws in the diagonal holes. And pour the second half flask with Type 3 stone plaster. Boiling out. When the plaster hardens completely, unscrew the flask before putting it into a boil-out tank for 8 to 10 minutes. Open the flask, wash out the wax using dish soap, and clean with additional boiling water to be sure all residue is eliminated. Examine the flask and make sure you have carefully removed stone chips around the sprue hole and other openings, then allow the 2 halves to cool. Retentions. Remove the artificial acrylic teeth from the flask. Create diatoric retentions, placing 1 in the center of the tooth with drill number 12. And then drill a mesial distal connection with drill number 9 medium thickness or drill number 5 fine thickness, connecting with the center hole and avoiding any visible openings on the facial or occlusal surfaces of the teeth. Always make 2 holes in the artificial tooth in the area that is holding a clasp. Make an engraved line or small hole with drill number 5 in the lingual part of the acrylic tooth for additional retention. Glue the artificial acrylic into the gypsum cavities with just a small amount of superglue waterproof adhesive, which will secure the teeth and prevent movement during the injection process. Injecting Biosense. Biosense requires a hot flask process. The hot flask process means inject into a heated flask. To heat the flask, place the 2 open valves in a bath of clean boiling water and remove them 5 to 8 minutes before injection time. Choose the correct size and color of cartridge. Color available for Biosense, from translucent shades to solid shades, transparent clear, light pink clear, transparent light pink, standard pink clear, transparent standard pink, light pink, solid pink, standard pink, solid pink, opaque pink, very solid pink, purple pink, translucent purple pink. Perflex cartridges are 25 millimeters in diameter, but other sizes such as 28 millimeter medium and large are also available. Shot volume sizes: small, medium, large, and extra large for full dentures. Small 10-gram cartridges are used for a flipper or repair. Medium 18-gram cartridge for a partial denture. Large 28-gram cartridge for a large partial. Extra large 31-gram cartridge for a large full case. Perflex is also available in 200-gram and 1-kilogram bulk jars. Cartridges in all sizes are sold separately and can be closed with a special closing plier tool available from Perflex. Perflex cartridges are dry, ready to use, and sealed in individual aluminum bags. Preparing injector. Open the nitrogen container or air compressor. And adjust the time and temperature in the controller for the specific type of material. Injecting Biosense with Smart 101 400. 300 degrees Celsius, 18 minutes, 9.5 bar, hot flask process. Programming the injection parameters. Press the P to set the temperature to 300 degrees Celsius. Press the P again, it will show ATE 100. There is no need to make any change to this parameter, which refers to the speed of heating. Press the P again, it will show TSP. Set the time to 18 minutes. Press the P again to activate the machine. Yes means on. Press P again to see the temperature going up. When the temperature of the machine reaches 240 degrees Celsius, place the 2 halves of open flask in a bath of clean boiling water to preheat. When the furnace reaches 300 degrees Celsius, insert the lubricated cartridge tube into the furnace with its cap facing outwards and the stamped part inside. Press to start the external timer for 18 minutes. Add boiling water to reheat the flask bath. 5 to 8 minutes before injection, wearing protective heat-resistant gloves, take the flask out of the boiling water, dry out the remaining water, and apply 2 coats of isolating separator liquid, Isosep film, to the plaster seating surface corresponding to the denture. Add 1 coat of Isosep oil to get a denture that is mostly clean of plaster. 12. Close the flask with 4 screws, manually or with a pneumatic machine, and place into the injector machine. And close the safety protection door. When the external alarm sounds after 20 minutes, press the button to inject. After injection, set the external timer for 5 minutes. Leave the flask inside the injector to cool under pressure for 5 minutes with the furnace switched off. Release the flask from the injector by pressing the button again, opening the black handle of the Smart 101 400 till the end stops keeping the door closed, and pressing the button again to release the flask and remaining cartridge. The flask will be hot. Using heat protection gloves, remove and bench cool for approximately 30 minutes. The flask should still be a little warm for easier opening. Close the door, press the button again to retract the piston, and turn the machine off by pressing the red button. The machine temperature should cool to 150 degrees Celsius before activating again for a new injection. To devest, unscrew the screws from the flask. hit the flask with a hammer in the stone area on both sides of the flask and open the flask. Then tap in the middle of the stone and open, removing all remaining stone with plaster nippers. With the Smart 101-400, we have had 0% failures in the injection process and 100% success rate for accurate appliances. We achieve a perfect fit of the appliances thanks to fast and correct dispersal of the molten material uniformly to both sides of the denture when injected. Finishing. Cut off all the sprues using a 3-sided cutter or a diamond disc or fiber cutter. Reduce the area around the sprue junction and the overall reduction of the pallet or lingual connector, and trim the edges and the periphery extensions using a coarse jumbo diamond carbide available from Perflex or any regular carbide burr suitable for acrylics. Fitting the case. Relieve the uprights of the case using a grinding stone or carbide burr. Grind carefully to avoid losing retention. Use a red Color 8 micron ultra-thin articulating film to mark interferences for insertion. And fit the denture in the model. The case should snap into position. Pre-polishing. Smooth the entire surface of the appliance with a rubber burr or wheel suitable for acrylics. Use a sharp number 15 scalpel to remove any edges or strings, as well for carving a clean edge for the necklines around the artificial teeth. Once the case has been rubber wheeled, it is ready for polishing. Polishing. The Perflex starter kit includes a polishing kit. Contents: 1. 3 non-stitched rug wheels. 2. 1 brown soft slim medium-size 48mm brush for final luster and cleaning of the appliance. 3. 1 pound Polyfast special pumice for all kinds of plastic. 4. 1 blue pre-polish bar compound. 5. 1 white bar compound final high polish bar. Always use the correct rag wheel for the different polishing compounds. Apply Polyfast pumice with a wet rag wheel. Polyfast should be very liquid and should be re-wetted if dry. The pumice step should take a few minutes, the same as for acrylics. Then use the blue bar compound to obtain a smooth, shiny finish with a rag wheel. Dip the case in water from time to time to avoid excessive heating of the surface of the appliance. In order to obtain a final high luster, after rinsing the case with water, use the Perflex white polishing bar compound with a dry rag wheel. Use a low speed at the beginning and then a higher speed pressing against the surface of the case, or polish as with conventional acrylics. All polishing residues can be removed, while also clearing out deposits in the interproximals by using the brown slim medium-size 48mm brush with no polishing compounds. With Biosense, high luster polishing is achieved with minimal effort, and no special polishing compounds are needed to get a mirror shine polished denture. Clean and disinfect the case in an ultrasonic bath containing FlexiClean denture cleaner, or wash the case thoroughly to remove all particles and residue left over from the polishing compounds. Packing the Perflex case for delivery. Perflex cases should not be delivered in water. After the disinfecting procedure, put the case in the Perflex branded bag provided with your material. This indicates to dentists that the case has been processed with original Perflex thermoplastics. Additional instructions for using FlexiClean are attached with each cartridge for the branded bags. FlexiClean is the perfect concentrated denture cleaner for proper maintenance of Perflex appliances by the patient.